Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mayank and today we are going to learn rate limiters. So let's start with understanding of what exactly is rate limiter. So basically rate limiter is a mechanism. It's a mechanism to protect a service from any kind of abuse. It helps us to provide from any kind of traffic spike and make sure the customer is doing the fair uses of our service. A customer is doing fair usage of our service. Let's say you designed a service, a URL shortener. You designed a URL shortener. Now, it was an amazing website, but people doesn't know about it. And let's say your service have capable of handling 100 requests per day. Now, since your service is pretty new, okay, your service is pretty new, very less people know about it, so you're getting one request a day or two requests a day, okay, and everything is working smoothly because your service was very good and now people got to know about it. And when people get to know about it, it's like millions of people visiting your server. So what will happen? Millions of people started visiting your server. Let's say this is 1 million per day. 1 million users started visiting your website per day. Now what will happen? The server will go down. It'll just crash. Why? Because it was not ready to handle 1 million requests per day. It was only willing to accept 100 requests per day. That's it. So your server crashed. This is the issue when you don't have a rate limiter in place. To save you from this problem, this is where the rate limiters comes into picture. And what it does is that it makes sure that your incoming traffic is always less than system's capacity. If it is more than that, what it will do is that it will just drop the request so that your systems keep functioning, and your system might seem down for few users, but it is not actually down for all the users. When you don't have rate limiters, your entire server will go down. But when you have rate limiters in place, it will make sure that all the traffic that is less than system maximum handling capacity will be addressed, but anything more than that will be dropped. Now you must be thinking, isn't it a bad experience? Well, no, it is not. It is always better to decline some requests rather than making your entire server go down or entire server crash. Rate limiters is always placed as a middleware, and it will always sit between client and server. So rate limiters will always sit between client and server and always throttles the request to the server. So client can send many requests, but only limited requests that server can accept will go to the server. So this is what rate limiter is. So there are three rate limiting algorithms, and first is leaky bucket, second is token bucket, and third is sliding window. Now I'll start with the leaky bucket algorithm. So to understand leaky bucket, consider that there is a bucket in which a water is flowing at very fast rate, but it's coming out at a constant rate. So leaky bucket is a rate limiting algorithm that processes requests at fixed constant rate. It doesn't matter how fast this incoming flow is, it can be extremely fast. The processing will be done at a constant rate. Alright, so for implementing leaky bucket, we use queue. Okay, because it has first in, first out order. Now let's understand how this algorithm works. In leaky bucket, all the incoming traffic is added to bucket. Second, requests are processed at fixed rate, and if bucket is full, reject. So we will reject all the requests if the bucket is full. Until the bucket doesn't get empty or is not able to accommodate any more requests, we are just going to reject them. Okay, so that's what the basic concept behind leaky bucket is. Now let's understand this concept with an example. Let's say we have a leaky bucket with capacity 3 requests, and leak rate, the rate at which request is processed, is 1 request per second. So let's say at t0 second we got 3 requests. So our capacity is 3 requests and our bucket is currently empty, so we will accept all these 3 requests. Okay, R1, R2, R3. We'll accept all of them and our bucket is full. Now at t equal to 0 second, one more request came. So do we have a capacity of accepting any more requests? No. So this is decline or rejected. Now at t equal to 1 second, we got one more request. Okay, so at t equal to 1 second, we got one more request. So we'll be able to accept that? Yeah, because 1 second has passed between the time frame was 1 second. We have processed one request, the request which came in first. So R1 is processed and this is removed from the queue, and we have a capacity for one more request. So this request R4 will be accepted. So this request R4 will be accepted, and again our bucket is full. At t equal to 2 seconds, we got no request. As t equal to 3 seconds, we got no request. Now after t equal to 3 seconds, this is our bucket sizes. At t equal to 2 seconds, this got processed. At t equal to 3, this got processed, and now we only left with 4, and we have capacity for 2. Okay, so now let's say t equal to 4 seconds, we got 4 requests. We have a capacity of accepting only 2 requests. We will accept request 5, we will accept request 6, and request 7 and request 8 will be rejected. So this is the basic principle behind leaky bucket algorithm. Now what are the advantages of this algorithm? The advantage of this algorithm is that it always makes sure our traffic is smooth and predictable, and it is strong protection for our backend system. But what are the cons? Well, it does not allow the burst of traffic, and if it doesn't allow burst traffic, it's a poor user experience. This is where a second algorithm comes into picture, which help us to manage the burst traffic, and that is token bucket algorithm. This is a pretty important and pretty popular algorithm. Many services use token bucket algorithm. So token bucket algorithm is an algorithm where request is only allowed if tokens are available, and tokens are added to bucket at a fixed rate. Now let's understand token bucket algorithm. So first, a token bucket is created with predefined capacity, and tokens are added at fixed rate. This rate can be anything that is predefined. So tokens are added at fixed rate to this token bucket. Each request will consume 1 token. If no tokens are available, request will be rejected. Now let's understand this token bucket algorithm with an example. Let's say we have a system with capacity of 5 tokens, and the refill rate is 1 token per second. So we have a capacity of 5 tokens, and a refill rate will be 1 token per second. Let's say from 0 to 5 seconds, our system was idle and we accumulated 5 tokens. Now 5 requests came, and they all are allowed. So currently, let's say here we are keeping our tokens are 5. Now at 6 seconds, 5 requests came, and all of them are allowed, and our token count becomes 0. Okay, at 6 seconds, we first got 5 requests, all were allowed. Again, we got 6 requests, and they will be rejected immediately because our token count is 0. Now, after 1 second, at 7 seconds, we got 1 more token because our token refresh rate is 1 token per second. We got 1 buffer token, and 2 requests came. Okay, so 1 will be allowed, 1 will be rejected. Okay, so 1 will be allowed and 1 will be rejected, and again token count becomes 0. Now, at 8 and 9 seconds, we didn't get any requests, and at 10 seconds, we got 1 request. So after completion of 7 seconds till the starting of 10 seconds, we have 2 seconds in difference. That's why our token count became 2, and we can easily accept this request, and again our token count will become 1. This is how token bucket algorithm works. You have fixed set of tokens, and once a request comes, and if it is less than or equal to the total number of tokens we have, all of them will be accepted, and if it is anything more than that, those requests will be denied, and we'll have a fixed refill rate for our tokens. Here it's 1 token per second. Now let's understand sliding window algorithm, which is another important algorithm for rate limiting. Sliding window algorithm counts total number of requests over a continuously moving time window rather than using a fixed window interval. So sliding window algorithm use queue data structure where each element of queue stores a pair of request ID and time stamp. Okay, so this will be something like this. This is a queue, let's say R1 and 0 second. Then R2, it again came as 0 seconds, so something like 0 second. And then R3 at 5 second. So it will be stored something like this. Now let's understand how this sliding window algorithm works. We'll maintain a timestamp of request. For each new request, what we'll do is that remove timestamp older than current time minus window size. For each request, we'll remove timestamp older than current time minus window size, and we'll count remaining request. Now, if count is less than limit, will allow request, else we will reject them. Now let's understand the working of sliding window algorithm with an example. So let's assume we allow 5 requests per 10 seconds. At 10-second window, we will allow only 5 requests. This is our predefined rule. Okay, let's say we have requests coming at R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7 and R8. We have 8 requests. R1 came at 1 second, R2 came at 2 second, R3 came at 3 second, R4 came at 4 second, R5 came at 9 second, R6 came at 10 second, R7 came at 11 second, and R8 came at 12 second. This is our predefined assumption. At t equal to 1 second, our window size is minus 9 second to 1 second, which means the request R1 will be allowed. Then at t equals to 2 second, a window got minus 8 second to 2 second, and at t equals to 2 we had request 2. This will be accepted, R1 and R2, this window. Now at window of t equals to 3 second, we have a window of minus 7 second to 3 second. Okay, and the request R3 will also be accepted. Okay, in this window of minus 7 second to 3 seconds, we have 3 requests. Now at t equals to 4 second, again our window got minus 6 second to 4 second, and our request size is R1, R2, R3, which is again less than 5, so R4 will also be accepted. R4 is also accepted. Okay, we didn't have any requests for 5, 6 and 7 and 8 second. So at t equals to 9 second, we again got one more request, and our window size at that time is minus 1 second to 9 second. This was our window size. So now, will this R5 will be accepted? Let's see. Our current request size is 4, which is less than our maximum request size in our window, that is 5. Okay, so this is less than 5, so we'll accept the R4 also. So our requests that are accepted are R1, R2, R3, R4 and R5. Okay, these many requests are accepted. Now at t equals to 10 second, now here where it gets interesting. Our window size 0 second to 10 second. Okay, and our current request size is 5. Now in window of 0 to 10 second, we are only accepting 5 requests, but since R6 is coming, but at 10 second, we have R6 that is coming and our window size is already full, so we will reject it. Okay, and at t equals to 11 second, again our window size got 1 second to 11 second, and this request T1 came at 1 second. So even in this window of 1 to 11 second, we have R1 sitting in front because it came at this border 1 second. That is why we'll reject R7 too. Now let's say R8 at t equals to 12 second. Our window size is 2 second to 12 second. At this time, R1 is processed. R1 is removed or it is processed. So window size became 4. Can we accept one more request? Yeah, in window of 2 second to 12 second, we have R2, R3, R4, R5, and these are total 4. We have provision of accepting one more request, so we'll add one more request here. R2, R3, R4, R5, and R8. Our request R8, which came at 12 second, will be accepted. So this is the basic working of sliding window. So is sliding window good? Actually, sliding window is too accurate, and something that is too accurate, it's very hard to implement. Additionally, in sliding window, we have to store every request. So as the traffic will grow, the memory will grow. And the hardest part is that it is very hard to synchronize across nodes. That's why sliding window algorithm is very expensive and it is rarely used. So which one is the most popular among all of them? The most popular one, and which is actually used by many companies, is that token bucket rate limiting algorithm. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll add the notes for rate limiting algorithms in my GitHub, and I'll add link for it in the description so that it will be very easy for you to understand this video and go through the notes. And if you want to practice those examples, you can practice yourself from them. And I'll try to cover all of the system design topics in upcoming series. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and thank you very much for watching the video.